So thank you for taking the time. I'm super excited. So I know when you originally spoke with Kat and had connected with her online, you went through so much of your history and your what had happened and everything, but I have never heard the full story. Like I would love for you to break down for me your journey and like what happened, where you've been, everything that's gone on, and then we'll peel it back and talk to your most recent feats.
Okay, sounds good. That question I could definitely answer. Um, and I'll try to be pretty concise with it. Starting with, I mean, I've always been active into different sports, horseback riding, water skiing, snow skiing, even
Yep.
running in high school. Way, way, way back when I did have marathon and I didn't know anything about training. Maybe there was a book, like one book out. Maybe I probably didn't even read it.
Yep.
Um, I'd go look at the clock when I left the house and then I do the same loop and figure it out on a car how far it was. And then the objective was is to come back the next time 10 seconds faster than the time before. And that's how I would try to like train myself. Um, and then I signed up for a half marathon in high school and I only thought that it didn't matter what time I did it in. I just wanted to run the whole thing. I didn't want to walk.
Yeah.
And well, like Nike sign, I don't know if you heard the controversy in Boston, but they always put up all these signs at the marathons, all these fun little slogans. One of them at Boston was runners welcome, walkers tolerated. And they had to take the signs down because a lot of people, that's a whole nother story for another day. Anyways, it was a running event in high school, it was a half marathon, and all I cared about was not how fast I did, but that I finished it. So I did finish it. I was like 16, 17 years old. I didn't walk once. I was very slow, but I finished it and I came in second to last. And only one old lady beat me, and she was like 42 or something like that. Boy, do I wish I was 42 right now. But when you're 16, you think that's old. But
Yeah,
now I think it's young.
100%.
So
Yeah.
now I think it's young. So,
Yep.
but anyways, then I just do a bunch of stuff, little jogging, little running to stay fit, that kind of thing. Go through college, and then sometime like in my mid 30s, I got the bug to kind of think about maybe doing a race or so. So I signed up for a 5K, did that. The first time I did one, I had to kind of walk a little bit because I got a side stitch, all that, and then I saw these flyers around that were advertised for train for a marathon, and you only have to run 3 days a week, and raise money, and you could either do like Chicago, or they were pitching you could do Dublin, Ireland. So I'm like, who would want to go to Dublin, Ireland? So
Yep.
heck yeah, I'm going to train for a marathon 3 days a week. Sounds easy, and I'll raise the money. That was very hard, but I did it and trained. And well, although that was not the best training, I learned later on was kind of a train wreck. I did get to Dublin. It was beautiful. It was fun, but it was very painful because I was not prepared properly. But I did get it done. I did finish almost
Yep.
crawling, but I got it done very slow. And then I was like, that's it, I'm done. But then a little time passed and I'm like, I want to do another one. I got to get better at this.
Okay.
So then I did another one. I started chipping away at my time a little bit, but it was still like no man's land to me. It was like I wanted to keep getting better, but I didn't know how. And then, kind of fast forward a handful of years, and I met a guy that did some coaching, and he was working with a group of people online in a chat group. Most of them were from Europe, and the coach that was coaching them was an Olympic coach. So
Mhm.
I wasn't in their chat group, but he was relaying all the information to me, and especially because I was picking up on all of it, and I was so like doing everything like 100% what he was saying, what they were telling him to do. And, the best way is heart rate training, all the stuff that
Yeah.
I was like a little prodigy, you know what I mean? So, like, I started doing it. And then it's like I was so far away from a Boston qualifier. But then as I started to get a little bit better, I'm like, I was still maybe 40 minutes off my Boston qualifying time, which is a lot for a marathon. But I'm like, maybe one day I could, and that became my life's mission. So we took it to a totally new level, 6 days a week, 2 days a week doubles, one day off, 60 to 75 miles a week training. And I mean, I was all in.
Yeah.
Um, and with the heart rate training and training properly, I went 2008 to the Rock and Roll Phoenix Marathon. And I was always so close before that in the last few marathons, like maybe 6, 7 minutes away from qualifying, but that's still a lot of time in a marathon.
Yep.
And I would say at the starting line, like, come on, marathon fairy godmother, I've been a good person. I'm training hard. Like, just let me get a Boston qualifier. But
Yep.
no luck. But
Okay.
finally, I go to do this one, and I follow everything that I'm supposed to do, the pace for the first 5 miles, and then switch it over to heart rate. And somewhere around mile 15, I'm like, this is feeling too good. This is weird. And I was even getting ahead with like the next pace group up. And they're like, come on, we're doing great. It was a whole group of people. And I'm like, you might be doing great. I'm like way ahead of myself now that I'm almost scaring myself. And
Yeah.
then somewhere like around mile 23, there was this little water table with one woman manning the table. Nobody else was around. And I stopped for a minute to take it all in, which I had never done before. She's like, go, go. Why are you stopping? I said, I'm fine. I'm way ahead of schedule. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to get the Boston qualifier as long as nothing happens and I don't trip and, hit my head or something like that. And I
Yeah.
just want to take it all in. And sure enough, I get to the finish line and I made it like with 10 minutes, 9 minutes, something like that. And literally for like a minute, I'm like, if I didn't have my Garmin, I didn't have people around me, I would have felt like I almost like cheated.
Yeah.
Like it was too good to be true, but it worked like an art and a science. It worked to perfection. You know what I mean? It was just a
Oh my
perfect everything. And then from there, I wanted to keep improving my time and keep qualifying. It took me 14 marathons to qualify the first time. And then I think I qualified like 16 times until my injury.
Oh my goodness. So heading into your injury, you you worked to get there and then you qualified 16 times leading into it.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
sometimes, multiple times in a year, of course. So then we try to go
Yeah.
back the next year. And then that was like everything had to be a qualifier. Even one year I did the Marathon Maniacs, where the first level, they've got so many levels of so many crazy things. But if you do their first thing, which is like 6 marathons in a year, then you get their first level of Marathon Maniac. So one year I wanted to do that. Even the last one was with sort of like a kind of like stress fracture, but
Yep.
when you run marathons, you don't have time for a stress fracture. You know what I mean? Like just, just run
Got
through
things
it,
to do.
So
Yeah.
all in all, it'll feel, in fact, I won't feel anything after a while, so it'll be fine. Uh, and then it was like obviously you can only go once a year to Boston, but it's like every marathon had to be a Boston qualifier, everything. And it
Yeah.
was, it was good, but it's getting a little crazy too, because it's like, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, and the training, right? And training
Mhm.
through things like you just mentioned, like the stress fracture or tweaks or just bad moments, right? Like that's a lot to persevere through.
It is. I don't know if you've ever seen a meme, but like one of the running memes is like the guys in the hot, like laying down all taped up and crutches, head to toe, all the white tape. And it's like, but Doc, can I still do my 3 hour run this weekend? Yeah.
Sure can.
Parts went
Probably
out the
will.
window. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I love
um,
that.
then the accident happened.
Yep.
And sometimes things in life, as we know, force you to slow down.
Yes. Yep.
Um, and so strangely, what had happened before that was 2015, and I was developing a meniscus tear. Actually, not from running. I did some other little silly with some um not test bike, but it's like not a mini bike, not like a motorized one, but like a bicycle that became popular, more like a compact bike kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
I forget what it was called, and silly me ordered one, and I tried to use it, and I lost my balance, and I did something, and that's where I think I had my meniscus tear. But
Okay.
I was still running, but it was only bothering me when I was running a little bit. I was still able to run, but it was a little bit of a nuisance, and it would swell a little bit when I was running. So I started doing some cross training on my elliptical bike. And you being from California, I'm assuming you probably know an elliptical bike. A
Yes.
lot of people
I
around here don't know what one
I
is.
know the owner of the elliptical bike. He's
Oh,
a
you do,
great guy.
Brian?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brian. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know
Oh,
Brian.
we had a fun time. Oh, yeah, New York one time. We had a fun time. Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
did
love
we
that.
did the 5 borough, and then we all went out for dinner and some fun afterwards. And then
Oh,
it
that's
started
awesome.
fizzling, and him and I hung out for a little while. We had a good time.
He's great. I'm in a founders group for San Diego Sports Innovators, and he's in my group, and he's phenomenal. He's been
Have
super
to tell him I
helpful.
say hi.
I will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. Um, and to no fault of the elliptigo, every fault of mine. So I'm always still a big fan. I don't really do it anymore, but because back to running
Yeah.
but I was using the elliptigo for cross training. I really loved it too. It was a lot of fun. I went to Arizona a couple times for their winter classic where they had like a get together and you do rides and dinner and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. New York, we did the 5 boroughs, all in the pouring rain. This was actually the 5 boroughs was actually after my accident. So that's it.
Okay.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So I had the meniscus tear. I saw an orthopedic. He wanted me to do surgery. I've had lots of accidents, whiplashes, concussions, you name it, but I never had to have surgery, stitches, all the things. I'm like, I only do surgery if it's like life and death. So I
Yeah.
was even willing to give up running then to avoid meniscus surgery. Even though
Okay.
I really don't want to give up running, but I'm like, I really don't want surgery because I had a little phobia of anesthesia and I was convinced I wasn't going to wake up.
Yeah.
So I'm cross training on the elliptigo, squeezing in a little run here and there, but doing my thing and trying to see if it will calm down and that I would hopefully not have to have surgery. That was in February of 2015. the meniscus was kind of getting bad. Was riding the elliptical when the weather was nice, and then sometime in uh, beginning of April, I went out for a tempo ride on the elliptical. It had rained the day before, and the path was like swerving. Of course, I was rushing too because I only had a little bit of time. I wanted to kind of go fast, get my heart rate up. I
Yep.
was going around a runner. I misjudged, and I didn't realize my back tire hit a wet mud patch, and all of a sudden it felt like the elliptical became motorized. And again, this like no fault of the
Yep.
elliptical. It's in, I could have been on a bike.
Yep.
Um, Ellipticals are a little heavier than most bikes. It's like 43 pounds or something
Yep.
like that. I'm 120 something pounds. And my left foot got stuck in the toe cage because I like to keep them kind of tight so that I could get a good whatever, my doing again.
Yep.
And I couldn't get my left foot out. So I felt like it felt like it became electric and I was spinning. And then I kind of blanked out or blacked out. And and that's kind of really all I remember. Thankfully, I'd be curious on the one hand, and the other hand, thankfully, there's no video of it. But the next thing you know, I'm laying on the path. The bike's next to me down there. I'm laying on the path. The runner girl said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine," and she left. And then I'm still laying on the path. And then some couple that was a little bit older than me came by and they said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And they started to leave, and the woman says, "You're not okay." And they pulled me off to the side in the bike. And then once we sat there for a minute, I'm like, "Oh my God, I broke my knee," is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um, it felt like a bag of noodles or like cooked noodles, and I put it up to my chest, probably killing me, but I was probably in shock. And then that's all I could do. Like it was like stuck. So they called the ambulance. I get to the hospital. The admitting emergency room nurse and doctor both said it was soft tissue and it'll be okay, but let's just take an x-ray. I'm like, I think I broke something. I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
And so she goes and takes the x-rays and then she's like, actually, it's probably a little more than soft tissue. You're going to need to see an orthopedic on Monday. And then I saw the orthopedic and he's like, you have a complete tibial plateau fracture, kind of like what just happened to Lindsey Vaughn on her
Yep.
downhill.
Yep.
Hers was even a little bit worse because it went even farther down, but along those lines where it was completely crushed.
Okay.
Um, and then he said, for one reason, he was booked out 10 days. He goes, we're going to have to wait a little while for surgery. Uh, he was a really good surgeon. He didn't have the best bedside manner, but he was a really good surgeon.
Yep.
Um, Good, he was busy, so that means that he's probably good. Also, he said there is so much swelling that I can't get a proper MRI. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, but he kind of said something about compartment syndrome.
Okay.
And now I'm especially seeing what happened with Lindsey Vaughn, for example. I'm
Yep.
extremely glad that he waited because one, he could get even a clearer MRI and make sure he does everything he needs to do. And two, you're at so high risk for an infection with compartment syndrome and worse things.
Yep.
So the swelling went down, not all the way, but enough that he could take an MRI. He did the surgery. Um, and then I thought I'd go home that night. And he's like, I think we're going to keep you overnight for pain management. Every 90 seconds, I had like a morphine drip every night, not by me doing it. It did it. And
Yeah.
then he was even surprised because he thought maybe the next day I'd get home and then just get some physical therapy after I started recovering. I was in the hospital for a week and then insurance kicked me out and they
Okay.
sent me to a rehab,
Yep.
light
Yep.
rehab.
Absolutely.
Um, I mean, he was like even blown away. But at the end of the week, before he did the surgery that day, and then he didn't see me at the end of the week. Well, in between, they put this contraption on my leg to like make it bend because unlike some breaks where you have a cast, they wanted to move my knee or else it would be like permanently locked.
Yep.
I guess I was just like, like in the anesthesia and groggy and stuff like that. So I push it away, and the nurses weren't really like, excuse me, you're 50. Like, if you ever forget about running, if you want to walk again, you need to use this machine. But nobody ever like, so the surgeon comes in at the end of the week and he's like, I did a great surgery. Um, he was praising himself, but he says, you're never going to run again. You're going to probably walk with a cane for the rest of your life and you're never going to bend your leg all the way. And part of the reason he was saying is because I got myself in a real predicament with not using that machine on top of it, but that my injury was so bad would likely leave me with a cane, walking with a cane.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, this is great news.
Yeah.
So then I go to the rehab physical therapy every day. I did my own physical therapy at home and I did have crutches and wheelchair and I had no body weight for 5 months. And then I took what they taught me at physical therapy and I'm like, heck with him. I'm going to prove him wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So uh, I continued rehabbing myself and then was able to get to the point that I could not walk with crutches or wheelchair, no cane. I was able to bend it all away
Yep.
enough that I needed to. And then I thought, it's the end of the summer. It's nice out. What am I supposed to do? I can't run. So I got back on my elliptical. Started
I
a little
love
bit going and ended up
that.
at the Five Boroughs on a nice the
Yeah.
next year on a nice rainy day, white knuckling it. But yeah, we made it through.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness. No PTSD going through the rain on the elliptical. I feel
Not
like
too
that
bad,
would have
but we
been.
did, some of them went even faster. But me and the one gal in the group stayed back a little bit. I mean, we weren't like too slow, but we were definitely there was bikers going down, regular bikers. I don't know that any elliptigoers went down, but there was people in stretchers, and it was dangerous. This was not
Wow.
for anybody. It was
Yeah.
not ideal for anybody on a bike, let alone. But I was kind of stuck in, I guess, in the thrill of it. So,
Yeah. So you did it.
um,
So tell me about that moment when the doctor told you not only you're not going to run again, which has been something major in your life, and then obviously the activity, you're clearly someone who pushes towards things, let alone you might even have a cane. Like, what were your initial thoughts before you went to that rehab facility? Were you just like, no, that's not it? Or did you say, okay, that's bad? Like, where was your head?
I think like I know where I'd kind of be now, and I think I somewhere buried I knew where it was, but up front, really, really thinking about it, I think I was probably numb. I don't even want to say shock anymore. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't hopeless. I wasn't like I'm giving up. I'm just turning to being a couch potato or something. It was just like I've always found something to do that I love, but like when I was younger and I could go to camp and we had horseback riding, we had like these are not the things that you just go do in your backyard. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe some people
Yeah.
do, but
Yeah.
not
No.
here.
Yeah.
There's no ski slope over here, and there's no lake to go jet skiing or water skiing. And I always had to pick
Yep.
those. Or, there's no horse here, so I
Yep.
used to have a boxer that was 110 pounds, but yeah, I could have rode him. Um, but uh, it was like a numb and maybe a little helpless feeling, not hopeless. And I knew somehow I'd find my way. I guess I was kind of flat, like a little bit, just
Yeah.
flat, like not really then overexcited about anything, but not like depressed, just kind of flat and sort of bummed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and you were already dealing with so much. It's like, how much can you process in that moment anyway? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, like I said, go big or go home. When I did end up making at the time I was still probably a little bit in shock. My main concern with the accident and the surgery was waking up from it.
Yeah.
At that point, and once I woke up, I make this go big or go home or go to the hospital. And so it's kind of like on that little, buzz because I woke up. Like I didn't care about anything else at that time, running,
Yeah.
whatever. I just
You
you
knew
want to
you
wake
were
up.
lucky that you were out of anesthesia and in a safe place.
And unlike a meniscus surgery, was still anything can happen. That's like a boom, boom, boom. This
Yep.
was major,
Yep.
long, involved surgery. So I woke up. I was there. I was, no, I was still here with us and everything. But it's a lot when it becomes a lifestyle. You run with people, you see the same people, you go out to dinner, you do events,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like
It's your
not that
life.
runners don't want to talk to you if you're not running anymore, but what happens by human nature is like you could still latch on to one or two and get together once in a while for dinner, but it's not like they're not going to text or call me and say, hey, we're going for this run on Saturday, and then we're meeting at so and so brunch at 11. So if you want to come to brunch, you could still come to brunch. Like people don't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always welcome. It wasn't to be like,
Yeah.
exclude you, but part of the fun is going for the run and then going for brunch or whatever it might be. So it was kind
Yeah.
of like a big void. You
Absolutely.
know?
Did when they did your surgery, um, do you have hardware in your leg?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could show you, I could send you some pictures. It's
Please,
not, it's not
please do.
gross. It's just like you'll see
No,
like
I'm used to seeing it. Send it over. I'll take a look.
yeah, there's and that's and again, I don't mean to this might be cut because I don't mean to talk about Lindsay Vonn or even care, but I do I get the mindset. I mean, I did when I was younger want to be in the Olympics, not for what she does, but for regular downhill skiing or
Yeah.
slalom skiing, I should say. Anyways, uh oh, she had mentioned something recently about she might go back and have the hardware taken out. And I'm like, I'm sure she's got the best of doctors, maybe even better than I had. But after all, she's her. But
Yeah.
um, oh my God. One, I mean, if you ask me, like, please get on the phone with me. Like, I mean, my leg doesn't even know I have hardware in it. When you see the hardware,
Yeah.
you'll be shocked.
Yeah. And that's why I asked. It's really interesting. Was the surgery on your knee then the same side as the meniscus, hopefully?
It was.
Okay. Okay.
And good question, because first of all, I did the meniscus surgery in February and had the accident in April. The meniscus surgery would have been a moot point,
Yeah.
anyways. At that,
Yep.
but who would have known? But yeah, I didn't tell you the whole truth of the meniscus. I'll tell you real fast. I did hem and haw on it for about 3 weeks, convinced I was going to die in the anesthesia.
Uh-huh.
At 3 in the morning, needing to be there at 5 in the morning, I called to cancel the surgery because it said don't go. And
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I'm sure the surgeon was great, whatever. Something told me not to go. I was being more, it was more than just being wacky.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the
No
nurse
matter.
answered and said, at this late stage of the surgery, the only one that can cancel is a surgeon. So you need to come. And I said, I cancel dinner plans if I need to cancel way before this. I'm sorry for being so impolite, but I'm telling you, for my life, for my well being, I cannot come. I'm sorry, it's so late notice. I can't. I physically can't come. I'm frightened for my life. So please apologize to the surgeon. She was
Yeah.
very mad at me, but it was erring on the side of rude, I guess, but it was not intentional.
And that's not rude, right? It's your body. You know what you need, and there's reasons we get those internal messages, right? It matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Good
mean,
for you.
really, I just whatever, you'll never know, but I just had to not go. And then it is the same side though. So funny as it is, I had the PCL tear too with the elliptigo accident. That they weren't going to touch because it's by, you probably know, so many blood vessels. But he said with all the rest you're going to get, that's going to heal, which it did. And incidentally, with all the rest I got, my meniscus healed.
Yeah.
That's why
Like
you
a
were asking
like
for.
a whole new woman right there.
Sometimes we need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you're coming out of rehab, you're getting back to it. At what state were you in when you left the rehab facility? Or were you walking with a cane? Like what were you doing at that moment?
I wasn't actually even allowed a cane then. I was allowed um slowly getting like trained to walk with crutches and a wheelchair,
Okay.
preferably.
Okay.
Um, and no body weight at all for 5 months. But as I had to go in regularly to get x-rays, probably the last 2 weeks before being cleared, I did a little slight tippy toe here and there, and my lovely surgeon did the x-ray and he says, you've been walking. Just like, he's just, and I'm like, well, no, I haven't been walking, but I maybe tippy toed.
Yeah.
Like short timers, like why
Yeah.
can't, if we can wait 4.5 months, why can't we wait 5? But you get that, like, I'm just going to tiptoe a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you've compressed the cadaver because I also have cadaver bone in there. And I'm like, oh, great. What does that mean? He goes, well, not good. And I'm like, well, okay. Another way I screwed
I will,
myself. You know what I mean?
yeah. I will try not to tippy toe anymore. Yes.
Not trying not
Yeah.
to tippy toe anymore, but I guess yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I
So,
got in trouble. I got in trouble then. You see the pattern. I used to get in trouble in kindergarten too. So,
well, okay. So I have to tell you, like, it's the sun and the moon, right? Like you get in trouble, but that's also what drives you, right?
right.
And
Good point.
you can't have one without the other.
Right.
Yeah. I think
You got to
that's
be, I
great.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you get past your cleared area and you're able then to put pressure on it. And then tell me, first of all, it had to have at least even felt freeing to just be able to do that because that's a long span of time to not be weight bearing on your leg.
I mean, I see people now that get something, they say I have, I do crutches for 4 weeks or whatever. And certainly I wouldn't want that. That is a long time. In the grand scheme of things, it's not, but at the time it seems like endless. But I'm like, well, if you want to hear a story, but usually I don't chime in because everybody's, they've got
Yep.
their own. It's not going to make them feel any better for their 4 weeks, but
Yeah.
it is a little bit of a bright light if they want to listen. But it is a long time. And it's like absolutely and then when I was at the first time they let me do it, when I really could like walk and not tippy toe at physical therapy, it's like I needed their permission. And then I'm like, you mean so I could, and I knew I could walk. I wasn't worried I couldn't walk, but I'm like, you mean I'm like really allowed to like legally walk? And it did. It felt like, yeah, like I won the lottery. Like, I mean, this is
Yeah.
crazy. Like I'm actually walking. Like I didn't forget how, and I didn't need to then get walking training. Sure, I was cautious and stuff, but like it just was like, I'm allowed to do this now without
Yeah.
getting in trouble.
Yeah. So you get back, and when you were walking then in that day in physical therapy, were you using anything? Were you on the rails? Like what were you on? Or were you able to just lightly walk?
I think they had me probably for liability purposes too. That's a good question too. But do one, not the crutches like under there, but one and shorter, kind of almost as a crutch cane kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Just so, and one of them by me. I don't know if they were actually arm in arm. They might have been, again, some of this could have been just because it's hard to just get back walking
Yeah.
for anybody, and also just, liabilities and things like that or whatever.
Yep.
So reassurance, confidence or whatever. But um, I don't ever recall that it took too long to just, okay, out of my way, I could walk.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
could walk.
out of my way. I love that. And that's the way it should be. That's the attitude, right? Out of my way.
Right.
I've got this. I'm doing it. Um, so they got out of your way. You got back moving. Obviously, you continued to push it. So tell me, tell me about the fight back. Like you're like, actually, I can walk. Look at me. I don't need this cane. I'm going to walk. Um, and then did you just slowly build your way to more and more? Or did you have a thought just being like, you know what? I'm gonna push it here. Like what was that like?
Well, um, this may be on the or cut. But like again, I'm not a medical person, so nobody takes my advice. But at that point, a lot of people would have probably said, "So check with the surgeon and just make sure, like what you plan to do next little while, just make sure it's okay, or just make sure you're, whatever." So what did I do? I didn't check with the surgeon because I didn't want him to tell me what I didn't want to hear. So what I
Yeah.
decided to do is just keep walking. There was still a little bit of not a total bend in my knee. It was still a little bit off, but not as bad through going through all that physical therapy, but not 100%. And at that point, certainly running wasn't on my mind at all, for both reasons. One, he said I'll never run again, so I believed him. And two, it just didn't seem like I could. But walking, and then it was like late summer, and I was thinking like, okay, now what do I do? I can't run. The weather's nice. Um, I guess I'll go for an elliptical ride.
Yeah.
Am I going to ask him? No, because he'll tell me not to. So I did. Go for the elliptical ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just started riding around, and first time or two, what's funny? I really wasn't gun shy, or when I used to horseback ride, you fall off, you get back on. The minute you hesitate and don't get back on, it's done. You're going to be afraid. The horse gets sense that you're afraid. Same kind of thing. I just got back on. I'm not saying I was overly confident and that I didn't have any concern at all. And even anybody not having an accident could have some concern. I mean, it's a bike, so you
Yep.
don't want to get into an accident. Um, Years and years ago, I was in a pretty serious motor vehicle accident. Actually, it wasn't my fault, but it was pretty serious and it could have been life threatening. And I have to say, for the first time ever, with all this being said, for the first week or two driving, and I had never been scared of driving, even when my dad was teaching me when I had my permit and whatnot. I was waiting. I was actually scared to drive, and I was scaring myself that I was scared to drive. I'm like, just around town here in the suburb. I'm like,
Yep.
I've never been scared to drive, and I was like, I'm actually scared. Like, what's wrong with me? But I got over it. But it was right. It was like PTSD.
It
With
literally is. Yeah. It's something traumatic that happened. Yeah.
so with I really wasn't like that with the elliptigo. I mean, I really, and that's the very, again, my doing, but the accident, but the situation, whatever. That's what I got injured doing, and I really wasn't feeling too much fear.
So you're on the elliptical, you're getting back into it, you're realizing that you are in fact competent. You're already going past where they said you were going to be. What brought you to the point where you decided, well, what else might I push?
In comes uh the winter, and then how some people ride, my dad even used to, like, a bike, there's a bike stand inside, and you could just do
Yep.
you guys don't probably have to do that much living where you live, but here in Chicago,
Yeah.
um they have that for ellipticals too. And I don't know if that was really a surface thing yet. If it was, but I don't really have the space, it's not ideal. I don't know that I would have done it. Maybe I would have figured out a way to get the elliptical inside and do it indoor training, because a lot of them have kind of done that, but that kind of surfaced later on. So I thought, it's winter. I used to run on the treadmill because I don't like the cold. I don't like to deal with the ice or whatever, all the layers, all the things. What am I going to do?
Yep.
And then I got an elliptical, but I quickly got bored with that. Like, I got it and I used it maybe once.
Yeah.
Um, and then I saw the ad for Peloton bike, and I was like, that's what I need. And then I got the Peloton bike.
Okay.
And with that, the very positive thing is and good that I wasn't running, because with that too, even though I like to do a lot of different stuff and I've tried a lot of different sports and all that, as you can see too, I kind of like do a lot of things at one time. But when I'm doing something like working out like that, like, I would not be a good triathlete. I know how to swim. I'm not great. I'm pretty decent biker, But if I was to do a race, I wouldn't like any distance of triathlete because I like to focus on one thing and
Yeah.
kind of do it well. And then I would get like too easily distracted. So it was kind of good I wasn't running because then I could really focus on the bike and Peloton. And quickly it became like a social media took over and almost even more than a bike, which we used to say it's more than a bike. We built a community and we used to go do like
Yeah.
HRIs in New York. It was, sit with the instructors. It was a whole different Peloton back then. It was a whole different, it was
Yeah.
like we were all in college together or something. And it was like long distance friends. We'd meet on rides together. We'd FaceTime each other on the phone or text and see each other on the leaderboard. And then, do all the classes. And I would ride the Peloton all the time.
Yeah.
And stay in shape that way, make a lot of friends, keep busy socially, and do all this stuff while you're all just sitting in your house, being
Yeah.
safe. Because, like, you
Yes.
can't get hit by a car, you can't fall off. I almost
Yep.
did once accidentally, but that's another
Things can
story.
still happen, but it is statistically much safer. Yes.
Statistically much safer. And then, yeah, and then you're not going to be shocked over this, but as it went on, and then things started really expanding with Peloton, which I guess was good for Peloton, possibly, sort of, maybe. Things change, dynamics
Yeah.
change, and then you just stay with your little group that you maybe made friends with or whatever. It wasn't so important to meet in the classes anymore. There wasn't as many live classes. So then I started getting a little bit bored. I used to do all the challenges with running, and I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this that much anymore. Years had passed. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking like maybe, well, 5 years.
Hmm.
So then 2021 hit, and we were all cooped up a lot 2020 because of COVID.
Yep.
2021, I still knew I was going to kind of be cooped up, work from home, dogs, and it was still kind of a scary time.
Yep.
I'm like, what am I going to do to entertain myself? So I go, I know, I'm going to ride 2021 miles every month for the year of 2021. I just decided that on
Yep.
probably like December 31st, and on January 1st, that's what I started.
Great.
And that's what I did.
Okay. A personal
And
challenge to bring you back.
And so that was a personal challenge. It was cool at the end of the year. Some guy in Europe created this Strava template that if you put your information in, it spit out particular information. And I found out that I rode from New York to California and back 9 times, I think. And then it showed that I ran 93.4 or 7% around the Earth's circumference,
Wow.
riding all those miles. It was like 26,000 miles or something like that, on the bike in one year. And I was trying to do some other challenges that they had too in those miles, but some of them were pretty hard, like,
Yeah.
how many miles you could get in 30 minutes. And then I realized I got to kind of just do this as like an endurance event because sometimes it was like 5, 6 hours a day. I mean, I take breaks, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. That's
So
a
you
lot.
want to hear another cool story? So
Yes, I
somewhere in
do.
November, somebody hit a pole that shut our Comcast or whatever down, and little old me that month decided to wait. Oh, I've got plenty of time today. I only need like 100 more miles today. It was like the last day of November. I'm almost at the end of my challenge. I waited till all these miles for some silly, stupid reason the last day, and then the internet went down, so I can't use the bike. So
Yeah.
I'm like, now it's like 4 in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to blow this whole challenge because if I do it December, oh no, okay, that was not the 20. Yeah, that no, that was it because I did a different challenge too. That was the 2021. If they carry over to December, then I did more miles in December, but I didn't do the 2021 in November. So I wanted to stay true to the month and just do the same miles every month. So I even asked my neighbor, like, was theirs down? Do they have different internet? Because they had a Peloton and theirs was down too, so I couldn't use theirs. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, and then somehow I figured out if I go to my Peloton and put my bike in a different time zone, like Hawaii time zone, or maybe you guys are Hawaii or whatever was the earliest time
Yeah.
zone,
Yeah.
that I could ride here in Chicago till 2 or 3 in the morning and it'll still be November. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but I
Oh my
did
goodness.
it. And when
I
I
love it.
looked at it, it showed that the miles were for November, not
Yes.
December. So I outsmarted I'm not very technology oriented, except my cell phone a little bit.
Yeah.
And it worked. So it showed that
You're
I
a
did it,
doer. Yeah.
even though it was really past midnight here. The
Yes.
bike didn't know that because the bike was set on a different time zone.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. And I think that that's an underlying theme in all of this, whether it's hitting your miles on the bike or coming through. I mean, it's awesome. It's a mindset and I love it. I love it. It's
But
true.
then you just don't find the time sometimes to just get that load of laundry done. I
Oh,
don't
I
have
know.
time to do that.
It's different though. It hits different,
Right?
right? Yeah. The
Right?
laundry will still be there. It'll still be
I, oh yeah, and then more of it.
there. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Um,
that was fun.
so you got into the Pelotoning and then 2021 came. your, am I in my correct year here? So that's when you're like, okay, I've done this for 5 years. It's changing. The dynamics are changing. The community is changing. I'm ready. I'm also ready for a change.
All that, yeah, but then I didn't really let it come to the forefront because then I know I would be like probably a little bit unhappy too because I didn't know what that change would be and I really didn't have an answer for the change.
Yeah.
Like, so I was feeling it, but I wasn't letting myself think it.
Yes.
Um, Not yeah, and definitely I wasn't even thinking again, I wasn't even thinking about running. Like, I mean, I took what he said, like, no, with all the hardware and all the stuff, like I believed him when he said no running. Like running's different than walking or elliptical or biking, even,
Yep.
you know.
Different
And
impact.
seeing, like you said, as I was able to bend my leg fully now for a long time at this point, the bike's probably obviously really strengthening my leg, building up all those tendons, all the things around all the stuff in my leg. But and then 2022, yeah, I was, still getting very, very, I was doing it, but I was kind of going through the motions and just it was okay, status quo, but it was really not satisfying, overly satisfying. Then I came up with another challenge for 2023 on the bike, which again, I just thought of, it wasn't a New Year's resolution, but on New Year's Day, I'm like, okay, enough with this, feeling sorry for myself again. I'm like, what could I do? And I'm like, Sam Yo has a really good 45-minute Power Zone Max ride. So I know what I'll do. And never, even in my running history, did I ever work out every day. I always took at least one day off. I'm not opposed to that. Some people are, they like
Yep.
never take days off. I'm like, I know it'll be a twofold challenge. I'm going to do the Power Zone Max ride for real, not like zone two. Like I'm going to do it as
Yeah.
he calls out 45 minutes a day. So not only will I be working out every day for the entire year and finding the time, because some days more than even not even feeling like doing it, it just isn't convenient in the life to do. I
Yep.
got to change and do the bike and then shower. So do that and do it legit, like a real Power Zone Max ride and see. And in fact, one guy on one of the Facebook pages didn't know me for anything, said, that's not possible. You can't do that. I was halfway through it. You're cheating. Would you like to see my Power Zone numbers? Would you like to see my matching heart rates? Because I will prove to you that
Yeah.
on my bike with my FTP, with my heart rates, I am doing this ride legit. And he's like, you can't be doing it legit. That's not possible. Okay.
You're like, why do you care, bro?
Oh, why do you care? But yeah,
Yeah.
mind your own darn business. So that's what I decided to do. And yeah, that was a tough one. Not only because it took less time than the other challenge, but it was a
Yep.
harder workout.
Yep.
Some days when you're a little tired, you could get on the bike and ride zone two and just kind of, you know, for a couple hours. But when you
Yep.
really have to, it's like a 5K. It's like you're grinding it
And you did it every day?
every day for the entire year.
Every day.
And
It's amazing.
I may have to tell you one part of it off the video that
Yep.
came up with an opportunity to go to Michigan to see a concert and in November of that year and still get
Yeah.
it done. But yeah, it was
That's
I'll
crazy.
tell you the rest of that later. But yeah,
Okay.
even did it for I'll just tell you, and Friday morning I did it 4:30 in the morning and left, which I'm not a morning workout person. I could get up, have coffee, take care of the
Yep.
dogs, but I like to do afternoon-ish working
Yep.
out if I can, late morning. I did it 4:30 in the morning on Friday, and Saturday night I did it like at 10:30 at night, just before midnight. And a lot in that short time happened in between.
Oh, I'm sure. I can only imagine. And
Yeah.
that's incredible. And I love
Needless to say, I reminded myself that I'm not 20 anymore, but still got
that
it done.
that happens. Sometimes we need to wonder, are we still
Uh-huh.
20? Let's push it. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
That's fantastic.
So
Um, okay, so you did the challenge. That was 2023. And then at the end of the year, you went through what thought process?
then, and one more thing, previous to that, I went with family member to a medical appointment a couple years before that, and the PA used to be in orthopedics. And I said to her, you know what? Can I ask you a question? She said, sure. I said, she wasn't on my case, but she was in orthopedics for a long time. The surgeon said I could never run again, but here's all these years later. The only thing on my body that really doesn't hurt at one time or another, sometimes the neck hurts, sometimes the shoulder hurts, sometimes the, whatever, lower back or whatnot,
Yep.
is that area. Knock on wood. I hope I'm not jinxing it. I could walk fine. I could bend it fine. All the things he said would happen didn't happen. After all these years, I've been strengthening it, doing all this biking. Why can't I run? I mean, like, I wouldn't even know I had that hardware in my leg at this point if I didn't know. And she said, because you will fast forward yourself quickly to a knee replacement. And I'm guessing then I'm not a high candidate for a knee replacement because of all the hardware. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, right. So I'm like, I guess I better not run because I don't really want to. not walk, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And not ride and whatever. So then I still a couple years passed. Now the end of 2023, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to run around the block a mile. Maybe I could just do it for fun a couple days a week and like sure, 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 sure. And just do a mile or two just for kicks. And then I'm like, if it's bothering me that bad, I'll stop. I mean, somewhere between running a mile very slow or around the block and my leg falling off, I think I'll know. So, but as a matter of fact, I just happened to see that the lottery for the Chicago Marathon opened up. So, you know, before I go running around the block and just having fun twice a week, why don't I just put my name in the lottery? Because I'm not going to get in anyways. Like all the other Peloton people I knew that put their name in, they didn't get in.
Yeah.
But guess who got in?
Yeah. There
I'm
you
like, if
go.
I don't get in, here's the deal. If I don't get in, I'm not running, or I'll just try to run for fun a couple days a week. If I get in, then we're on it. And I got in, but I still did. I did start with 1 mile on the treadmill, very slow, very calculated, very, I paid attention to everything. And I just did. I started from like ground zero,
Yeah.
baby steps.
Just building it back. And at that point, you were just feeling it on the training. Like you had no one you were working with.
Mm-mm.
You were just testing the waters and baby stepping forward.
Just to see if I could. And then they all said no. But like, as I say now too, never say never. And it's like, I'm not here to promote going against doctor's orders, but I sort of am. I really don't like the, I guess, I mean, they have to medically do what they would think makes medical sense to them. And maybe for a lot of people in the accident, the same thing. Uh, they wouldn't do it again. But then there's other people that have this kind of accident, even worse, that do crazy things that are told by everybody, including their family, not to do it. And then they may
Yeah.
do it too. But, so you
Yeah.
just got to know yourself and try and then see what's the worst that's going to happen.
I mean, and I think at that point, and just in general, you're such an accountable person that you were willing to trust yourself and trust your body. And you knew if there was a consequence, you would understand that consequence, right?
Right.
I think that a lot of the times in our medical system, we used to joke about it when I worked in the medical device space specifically, and it was like the CYA, right? Like the cover your ass. And it is to the point where it is safer to tell someone a lot of times they can't do something, or maybe even theoretically they shouldn't because it's not indicated. The hardware in your leg is not indicated for that. You might have to then get a replacement earlier. But I think there is just these outliers of people, which you are clearly one of, who can't live like that. And
Mhm.
that's okay, in my opinion. Also, I am not a doctor, but I think it's really amazing how much you have advocated for yourself and trusted your abilities and been able to just persevere and push in ways that have brought you your outcomes that you were looking for, right? Like there's so many people out there who have that same mindset and mentality that are maybe holding back on something that really matters to them, and maybe it's time they test their own waters, right?
I think so. And I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot. And especially because, the youth is wasted on the young. And now I'm still in a little denial of, again, my age, although I know some people would love to be my age, but I'm still in denial. But this can't really be happening. But what happened was I wasn't always doing that, like with college, and I wanted to go into physical therapy. And the first question they asked me was, "Are you good at science?" And I said no, which usually when you're not good at something, you don't usually like it. I actually happen to like science, especially biology. I just wasn't good at it, but I was kind of even okay with that. They discouraged me thoroughly. Exercise physiology, uh, physical therapy, they taught me at college all out of doing that because I wasn't good at science. I could have maybe become good at science, but I didn't advocate for myself because I listened to what they said. And they
Yep.
said, what's going to happen. And then what happens if you fail or you don't get a good grade or you don't get a job and or all these things. And then take it to heart and just wander around trying to do something else.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess I finally got old enough to have enough of that. I've had enough of it. And it's like something that I always love and could do. And it's like I wasn't trying to prove anything. And even with the joke at the marathon, like what it's okay if I got in and then so they charged my credit card. The worst that would have happened is I wouldn't have gotten at the start line.
Yeah.
And I paid for a fee, whatever, but nothing really to lose in the grand scheme of things. And it's like, one, like I said before, never say never. And two, it's like, how will I really ever know if I don't know?
Yeah.
Like they're all telling me no, but like this was not part of a master plan because until end of 2023, when I literally at the same time said, I'm going to try a mile and I'm going to sign up for the Chicago Marathon, I had not a couple times, like I even talked to Jen Sherman over at Peloton. She was saying she was having trouble with her knees and she ran more recreational and to stay fit. I don't know that she did races, 5 miles, 3 miles, but she couldn't
Yep.
really run anymore because her knees. And I said, I never like to say no, you feel because she's her and I'm me, and I don't want to pity party her because maybe she, just because I went through my thing doesn't mean that she feels the same way. But we kind of chatted for a minute, and I'm like, It's a drag.
Yeah.
I could say I know what it's like to not run anymore, and it's a void, even then, all these years later. So, I would never know again if I didn't try, and I had to advocate for myself, like you said, and and again, you don't know until you try. And like, what's the worst that's going to happen? If I had some consequence, I still figured though, no matter what, I'm not going to get to myself to the point that I'm going to do this to the point that I can't walk. And
Yeah.
again, but that nobody knew, like, and I didn't plan this. It wasn't the master plan to do the Peloton for 10 years and then say, okay, I'm going to try to run. So had he known all this, the surgeon, he could have said, maybe after 10 years of doing the Peloton, you could try to run again and see what happens. But that's a lot of constant rehab that was unintentional for attempting to do running again. And I really didn't think about it for myself again until the end of 2023, except for maybe those few talks once in a while when somebody was feeling bad for themselves that they couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, sing it to the choir.
I mean, there's so much that's here and it's so incredible and you're touching on so many points. I mean, I think one of the things that you were really good at and still remain really good at is you're in the moment you're in, right? You were in the phase of doing the elliptigo and that was working for you until it wasn't. And then you were in the phase of the Peloton and then you needed to make a change. And so you focused on your 1 year moments and the different challenges you were going to do. And then you got into your okay, my moment now is if Chicago I get in, I'm going to see how training goes. And I think that being able to stay really present in just that exact moment that you're in removes a lot of the barriers and the fear like you were talking about because you're not focused on like, well, what if I don't? What if this happens? How about this? It's like, how do I feel today on 1 mile? How do I feel tomorrow? That's it.
And comparing that again to like my whole school thing, even though for a lot of the things I did well in school, art history and things, like the teachers felt bad for me because they knew I was a good student. So they upped my grade a little bit, but I did good in like psychology and the
Yeah.
communication, no surprise. You could probably tell, but A's and B's and stuff like that. But I still felt like everybody knew what they wanted to do and be when they grew up, except for me. Like that's what I felt like. And I didn't
Yeah.
really have anybody to like kind of mentor me on it. And it's like constant, like you were saying, it was what if, living in the future, living in the past. And then, like that, I finally had enough because it's like, can't go back in time. And
Yeah.
time is the most precious thing we got, obviously, in health, but
Yeah.
yeah, time.
It was good you learned from that though, because some people will block that feeling. I actually spend a lot of time thinking about this phrase. There's this company that I used to work for, and um, the question they used to ask was, "Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?" Right? And it's a loaded question. And I think there's arguments for both. But over the
Mhm.
years, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on this
Mm,
question.
I never heard that
And
before. That is really good.
it goes, in my mind, it goes back to exactly that moment when you were at school and they were like, well, what if you fail? Because I'm an entrepreneur, right? We're building a business. It's not my first business. For most of the people in the world, the risk, the effort, the outcomes, they wouldn't do it. And they also would wonder, well, what are you going to do if it fails? What are you going to do if it doesn't come to fruition?
I know.
Yeah, and you can't live in that space, right? Like not if you're going to do anything magnificent. So I didn't feel this way 10 years ago, and then today if you were to ask me that question, I would say I love to win. And I'm not afraid to lose because sometimes when you lose, you learn. Sometimes when you fail, something beautiful happens out of it, right? And
Right,
I would rather live trying than not try.
right.
Yeah.
And even with that Meb they made the 100 of the Meb ellipticos and he signed them. And anything he signed, he said, run to win. But of course, at the time he was in it to win the
Yep.
actual race, but win, I knew he meant it loaded. Like my win and his win is the same, but different, but the same.
Yes.
So, like,
Yeah.
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 And even with them not winning, of course, that's their, the elites. I mean,
Yep.
that's always their thing, but they're still human beings. And although they lose something like a prize money or something, let's say, there's still something in it for them to grow and try to get better from and win, even if it looks like a loss kind of thing. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The journey and back to
Mhm.
those moments you were talking about. So tell me how you felt in Chicago. First marathon back. How long had we been out of running at this point altogether?
So that was October 2024. And just it started like the middle of January again, very slowly of 2024. So 15, just shy of 9 years. No,
Just
no, no. Actually, it was touch and go that year. So just a little over 9 years.
9 years.
2014, the end of 2014 was my Portugal marathon. In October was my last marathon. And
Yep.
pretty much just a few scattered runs after that. But the meniscus was bothering me. So
Yep. Okay.
about nine
So
years.
over 9 years, not running, catastrophic injury, working your way back. You have started training. You're on the start line for the Chicago Marathon. What was going through your head at that moment?
Uh, I couldn't That I got to tell the truth in the sense that people would think I'm crazy, but it was really just about to finish and like the comeback. And even if it went well and I could do it, maybe another one, but not this whole I got a Boston qualify and all this devil, angel, devil, like my little dog here. Once I said, just do it, whatever time, run a good race. You
Yeah.
train, it was decent. It wasn't like the good old days, but again, that's not what it was about. And I did enough to finish it, do okay, feel okay. Certainly wasn't going to come in first place. I wasn't going to come in last place and be happy with everything. And plus, even not getting injured, I mean, a lot of years had passed. So not running for 10 years for whatever reason is not running for one. Muscle memory, I think after 10 years
Yeah.
doesn't okay, that's a little bit, yeah. And
Yeah.
also you're 10 years older. And again, I didn't go from 20 to 30. So,
Yep.
um, but uh there was that devil side that said, it's only 4:20, 4 hours 20, go for a BQ, you
Yeah.
know. Um, knowing too that there's these random buffers. Like back when I qualified the first time, you could do the time and then get in. This is like some mysterious qualifying time plus a buffer. You don't know what the buffer is, if it's gonna be 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever. There's no way I could control that. I could only control the time. So two things. One, I'm like, okay, if I get a 4:20 or sub 4:20, I could at least say I Boston qualified on my first marathon back. I knew if it was right around 4:20, I wouldn't get in, but I can't calculate in my head. That was too much to take
Yeah.
on and too much pressure. So I said, let's just kind of, but maybe if I do a 4:15 or 4:14, maybe I'll really get in if I do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started taking off and I actually felt pretty good. I want to say maybe 85%. All of a sudden, maybe got a little overwhelmed. It's crowded. There's a lot of crowds. It's a love hate for me with Chicago. I'm from here, so I love it. It's my two fastest times. I do love the race. I do love the spirit and the crowd, but I sometimes do like those smaller races where it's like every so often there's people cheering and then you get room to just kind of be by yourself. So I was a little overwhelmed, not panicking or anything like that, but it was a little crowded, even more than I remembered. And I didn't feel like I was taking off already kind of as good as the devil thought. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, just run. And the other weird thing that happened, which I couldn't really explain because I wasn't dehydrated or anything, somewhere around mile 3 or 4, I looked back and I actually thought, I mean, this is crazy, but I actually thought somebody stabbed me in my calf, like great in large marathon, they have secure like weird. I don't know why they would do that, but I look back and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like almost like mad at somebody. It wasn't like your normal run of the mill cramp. I don't even know if it was a cramp. Something happened with my calf and I was going along okay for whatever it would have been, 4:20, 4:30, whatever it might have been, race. But then
Yeah.
all of a sudden this happened and I'm like, you stay calm in the marathons. Even elites will say this. It could happen at mile 3, it could happen at mile 13, it could happen mile 19, but you have to stay composed unless you're like sickly and you need help right away.
Yeah.
Don't call it. It's kind of like if you're in a bad mood or you're tired or just kind of gotten in a tiff with somebody, don't make a rash decision. Sleep on it. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. So just stay calm, go with whatever, kind of adjust your stride a little bit, and it'll work itself out. And I was doing that and it wasn't. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this for 22 miles. I was like, I would want to do this. My spirit wants to do this, but my go wants to do it, but physically something isn't right.
Yeah.
So talk to family on the phone. Hey, I'm going to be at mile 14. I'll look for you on the left side. I normally don't take anything, but I'm like, and I didn't want to say anything in alarm, but I'm like, seeing that we were in Chicago, if I had to stop, I'd know my way around and figure out somewhere I had to go. But I'm like, I don't want an alarm, but you may not see me at 14. But if you do you have any Tylenol?
Yeah.
If I get to 14, all
Yeah.
right. The other thing too, luckily I heard somebody say at the expo, all these marathons I had done, which at this point was like 36 or so, I never really, except for the water stations, all those aid stations, I never put two and two together that they were for me too. Like I just always,
Yeah.
hello. So somebody was talking at that expo about Icy Hot or whatever at the
Yeah.
aid station. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh, yeah, aid stations. Somehow when this was happening after like another mile, so I saw an aid station. I was in so much pain, I couldn't even say anything. The lady was there and I'm like, you could see my Garmin. I actually somehow I think she was putting it on as I was still kind of running. I was pointing where because actually I thought I had slowed down so much. My mile was probably only like 45 seconds slower than my other miles. I think she was like jogging along with me with the Icy Hot and putting it on as I was like hopping. So
No way.
never it helped a lot though. Uh,
Okay.
for a while. And then I
Yeah.
did make it to the Tylenol, took the Tylenol, helped a lot. So actually, my worst miles normally are like miles 16 to 21, are usually my worst miles. Those were actually my best miles in Chicago. And actually, I was picking it up a little bit. I'm like, good thing I didn't quit.
Yeah.
Mile 21, I guess Tylenol's probably wearing, Icy Hot's wearing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is fun. But we're at mile 21. So we're all in.
Yeah.
Smile, smile, smile. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it was, it was, it was a project, but was able to stay fairly consistent and push the pain down. You know, we all kind of have to be built on a little bit of high pain tolerance and get ourselves into thinking that we're not in pain when we are, which is good and bad too.
Yeah.
I knew I
Super.
wasn't injuring myself. It was restricting me, but I wasn't injuring myself. It was a weird, I don't really even still know what
And that's the
it was
only
nothing.
time that one's ever happened.
Mhm. And
Okay.
then at the top of Mount Roosevelt, that they call that before we take the left to the finish line, it kind of started a little bit slighter, but with my right one. And then for a second, I thought, like, you see some of the runners just go down. I thought I was just going down. And then, and this is weird too, because I'm like, I believe, like, you know, if your gut's telling you, like I told you with my meniscus,
Yeah.
but I'm not like full force, like, chakra and what, you know, like I
Yeah.
appreciate all things and believe in it to some point, but I'm not like full blown, but something was there then because I was not next to any rail or anybody and I was going down. But it's like it felt like something, like, again, I don't mean to sound weird, but like
Yeah. Lifted you.
it was not people, because sometimes they did that in Boston too for a guy. Two guys lifted a guy up and shoved. Nobody physically lifted me up, but somehow something like was carrying me, really. It was weird. And I felt like I was going to the ground, like melting to the ground. And I got like not revived, but just enough to get to the finish line. Another guy had a similar thing he was talking about online around the same place. I didn't see him then, but I saw it online and he did fall and he got pretty good and scraped up too. Cause you don't realize, you feel it's like slow motion, but you're really going fairly fast. And if you
Yeah.
hit the ground, you're pretty good and banged up. He was
Oh
pretty
my
good. I'm
goodness.
glad I didn't actually go all the way. As I'm going to the finish line, I'm seeing the clock and I'm like, it's 4:19. Tick, tick, tick. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Boston qualify. I almost didn't want to because I knew that time wouldn't get me in because, again, it was just a matter of seconds. So
Yeah.
what I was resisting persisted, and I did get a Boston qualifier by 43 seconds. And now the fun began because I'm like, which you probably will ask, I'm like, now I got to come in for revenge because now I have to get into Boston.
Yeah.
I'll sign up because I could sign up because I qualified, and they'll say, congratulations for qualifying for Boston. What an amazing feat. But we regret to inform you that your time did not satisfy the buffer for the 2026. So better luck next year, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to go do another one to secure my time because 43 seconds would have got me in.
Okay. So that's we're in fall of 2024.
You're good
Yep.
because you're young.
And yeah. Yep. And I'm engaged in this journey. Um, so that happens. And then what? Like you finish,
And I said,
you're
here I am
figuring it
back,
out.
back to Boston again. It found me again. I didn't find it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I could say, okay, I qualified again. I could even buy the jacket if I want because it's not a fit. You know, this is a big controversial. It's not a finish. Somebody even bought it that didn't qualify for this year, but qualified a couple years ago, but didn't like that jacket. So they liked this jacket. So they bought this jacket and changed the year. So the, you
Yeah.
know what, you do you, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
but I could buy the jacket. Really, a mood point about the jacket. But I could buy the jacket. I qualified, but I could sign up, which I would, but I'd get that rejection letter. So I'm like, again, that's not good enough. I mean, now I have to go. It's 130th anniversary of Boston. I qualified. I have to get in. So I started Googling what's the best spring and late summer Boston qualifiers, and then popped up, which I never thought about because I actually have a friend that lives in North Dakota. I've never been to North Dakota. One of the spring fast and flat, although it wasn't flat. I love when they say flat. There
Yeah.
was some good
Oh,
climbs.
yeah.
I mean, here is flat, but there was some good climbs. Um, is Fargo, North Dakota. And I'm like, that's it.
Okay.
Let's go to Fargo.
And when was Fargo?
May 30th of 2025.
Okay. All right. I mean, your 2025 was bumping. You, you
The other was not even in the conversation yet. So some
yeah,
people sign up for that like a year and a half before, you can imagine,
yeah.
to start training. Uh, Needless to say, the first week of the training for Fargo start really well. I'm going to nail this. I'm going to get a Boston qualifier. I'm going to blow it out of the middle of January. We got an ice warning overnight, a severe ice warning. And I've lived here all my life, basically, except for California for a short time, like 2 months and whatever. In the morning, I come down from the ice storm. I've lived here in this house for 26 years. I should know it well. I go to throw a bag out on the back deck to the driveway so I could throw it in the dumpster later because sometimes when I'm a little tired and I open the front door, if I'm not extra careful, this little devil sneaks out and I don't
Yeah.
just, it's easier.
Gotta
I
be
don't have to
careful.
think about
Yeah.
anything. And what did I do in bare feet? I took a step out on the deck, tossed the bag. I could have even just done it from the inside of my house, but I did like that, like a cartoon, funny, but not funny. I went flying back like a cartoon character,
Yeah.
so bad from it was so thick. I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
even look like I said, all I can remember thinking was, don't hit your head. Because I've hit my head so many times. I'm like, if I hit my head back there, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally done. On behalf of finagling my way to try to not hit my head, I bruised myself all back here, which was nothing. I fell down on my left wrist, which if I had gone to a doctor would have said it's broken.
Hmm.
And the reason why I know it was probably broken is I could even pick up a Kleenex box, like a
Wow.
little one.
Yeah.
And I fell on my tailbone,
Okay.
which was also probably some kind of damage. But did I go to the doctor?
You're all, I know
Because
what they're gonna
why?
tell me there. I'm
I
not
got
going back.
it red. I did have to go get it. Have to go get a tattoo of my dog that we lost the month before,
Aw.
and um, I thought we could override this bruise. But when I went there to him to show him, he's like, it's bad when they're canceling the appointment because they want to do the appointment because you're scheduled. I'm like, I'm really sorry, but all of a sudden I thought driving over here, you probably shouldn't do this. This is good and bruised. And he's like, no, we need to reschedule.
Yeah.
Anyways, the wrist was bothering me when I go to forget and go to pick up something heavy. I kind of like, but running, it wasn't so bad, just maybe like a little bit painful, but not terrible. The tailbone prohibited me from doing any sort of speed or tempo runs. So the only thing I could do for about a month and a half was easy runs. I was able to do that, but
Yeah.
that started the whole cycle of then getting sick and then being off for a week because I wasn't near a treadmill or able to run different things. And needless to say, it was one of my worst training cycles that I had.
Okay.
But I got in what I could get in. I think the longest one was 16 or 18 miles. Usually try to get in a couple 20 milers,
Okay.
speed workout, whatever. Squeezed in a few here and there when I got better, but it just turned into one train wreck after the next. But long story short, first time ever I stayed with a pace group.
Hmm.
And I decided to that I scanned the area. It wasn't that big of a marathon. And the gal that was doing the 4:10, 4 hours 10, I figured I'm going to go for it because none of this 4:20 business, because I don't know that this is going to go so well anyways. So I might as well just go for it, kind of like the elites do. And if it
Yep.
doesn't go, at least I tried,
Yep.
but I need the 10-minute buffer. So let's just go and see if my legs and my heart, my mind and my body will carry me. And normally after a mile, if I go with a pace group, I have to leave because I'm thoroughly annoyed. I
Yeah. Yeah.
possibly might be
Yeah.
I might be annoying too, but I get easily annoyed. I like blinders on when I'm running. Like things easily annoy me. And not
Yep.
because anybody's doing anything wrong, but I just
Yeah.
don't like the distractions. And
That's fair.
So I stayed with her, and we're still friends. We were going to meet up in Boston. It didn't work out, but she lives in Maine, the pace gal, and she went to Boston. We cheer each other on, and we became pretty good friends and everything. But she did a great job. Stayed with them the whole time, and we got the. Actually, I was able to pick it up at the end a little bit. She had to finish within a minute because she was being paid or whatever to be the pace person, so she couldn't finish too faster or slower. So I got a little ahead of her at the end. I didn't realize this at first, and we got done and we started talking. She's like, I had to stay back because I have to finish within the minute. So I finished like 30 or 40 seconds before her, but I got the 11 and a half minute qualifier and miraculously sealed the deal. But I'm like, for once I said I couldn't have done it without you. I had it just like, please don't leave. Make sure I stay with you, like Velcro. I
Yeah.
got to get this done. And then it was getting so bad, like 2 hours into it. I'm like, but there was one more chance at the end of the summer. There's a last chance Boston qualifier in Chicago and in Michigan. And I'm like, I'll do that one and try one more time. And then the cutoff ends. So I'm like, I kept saying 2 hours or 2 months, an hour 45 or 2 months, because I'd have to train for 2 more months again.
Yeah.
An hour. And those 2 hours are the longest hours of my life, but I kept saying that to myself. The 5 minutes or 2 hours, like it even came down to the last 5 minutes, but I'm like, I've got to seal this deal and just be done.
I love that. You are all, I can do anything for this short amount of time because otherwise I'm back to the drawing board. So I'm going to do it.
And then there's no guarantee with that either. And then as much as I love the heat,
Yeah.
even humidity, it was just unruly hot over the summer. And
Yeah.
it would not have been a fun, I would have done it, but it would have not been a fun 2 training months. Even
So,
though I had to start training again, of course, because we know why.
yeah. Yes. So let's talk about that. You qualify. You're touching on another beautiful point of you tried something different. You tried the pace group. It worked for what you needed it for. So you get out of that, that's May. Was it already on your radar? Your fall of 2025?
I'd seen
So,
it before a couple times, but I didn't really put it, I can't do that, or
yeah.
not now, maybe in a couple of years from now, kind of thing.
So you've seen things about the Great World Race, but you weren't actively thinking about it. You weren't
Not
seeking it
even in the
out.
slightest.
It had never been on your radar of like, I'm gonna
Not
do
for
that.
me. I'm
Yeah.
a one marathoner done. Even if I did multiple in a year, they were spread out. They were never
Yep.
back to back. They were never even in the same month.
And because we're cutting this into video, for those who don't know, the Great World Race is what?
The Great World Race is 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days.
Yeah.
Um,
That's when Kat first told me about that, because I had not heard of it until she explained it when she was speaking to you. I was literally like, I'm sorry, what?
mhm.
What?
You're
So
like, are you
it
sure you
wasn't
have
on
that
your
right?
radar. We're already at May of 2025. How did it unfold? How did 2025 unfold?
Well, I finally really let myself celebrate. And even at the end of the Fargo, even though I wasn't feeling all that great, I actually was celebrating. And at mile 25, I actually didn't want it to end, even though I wanted it to end. But all the other times when I was qualifying, even though I mean, took me years and years and years, as I told you, I appreciate it. I was proud, but I was, younger then. And I was like, then it wasn't good enough because even though I qualified, I could have done this and I need to do this. And so it was almost this time I was like, you know what? I really, like, I was celebrating. And there was a few spectators. It was a little bit different at the finish of the Fargo Marathon. It was hard for your family to get there. So they
Yeah.
would meet you back by the hotel. These people had to think I was like, you thought that I was like, winning New York Marathon or Chicago or whatever. And like the people were cheering for me. I mean, they're all looking at me like I was a loon, but I was celebrating me. Like
Yes.
I did
Good.
it. And like, this is my party. You know what I mean? And I was taking it in. And even afterwards, I was allowing myself for once to really be proud of myself. I was proud before, but I was also already on to the next best thing. So I was actually like letting myself be proud of myself. And I was like, I could enjoy the summer. I mean, I would train and everything, but no pressure because Boston's not till the next April. I'm not going to lose ground, but I'm not going to grind it because I qualified for Boston. Even if I go to Boston to celebrate and just do it as a fun run, that's what I'll do. But I'm like, I did my job. I got it again. So I'm like, I'm just gonna enjoy it. So I was gonna take it easy all
Yeah.
summer and just go out for fun runs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just relax. But that was not in the cards.
And that I'd have to look back exactly, but I think this all kind of started stirring up where I made contact with them and inquired was probably maybe not even until August.
Okay.
Uh,
Not until in August. And
mhm.
when did you officially leave for the Great World Race?
We left November 12th, I believe, was a Wednesday, and the first race was on November 15th.
So in November of 2025, you ran 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days. Leading up to that, you're working with the coach. This was when we met you, right? It was August. Was it August, September of
I
last
believe
year?
right around there too. Yeah.
Okay.
Coincidental, but yeah.
And you were training. You obviously saw, and I'll ask like a little bit about Tighties here, but you saw something on, I think, Instagram or Facebook or something, correct?
Hmm.
What made you reach out to say, hey, tell me more?
And I think you are right about it because starting to talk to Kat and even you once, I think on Instagram, um, I was just getting ready to pretty much sign for the Great War Race. So initially I didn't say anything, but then I was so excited. Probably maybe one of the first people I told really might have then ended up being Kat in our text. I'm like, oh, did I tell you actually what I'm doing? She's like, no, what are you doing? Because but I didn't want to say it until it was like official. So it was kind
Yep.
of overlapping at the same time. But I saw this and I'm like, just like, I've tried some of the different compression leggings. Um, I'm always like trying to pay attention to new and innovative, things that come out, catch my eye. And I'm like, somehow it just caught my eye. And I took a double take and I'm like reading it. And then I wanted to know more because I'm like, one, I saw, your boa,
Mhm.
uh, boa, not straps, but boa
Yeah.
dials.
Yep.
I always was familiar with them with ski boots and even hiking boots and some running shoes back in the day had. I mean, like, first of all, obviously, I never heard of Tighties before that, but as you say, entrepreneur and startup company, but BOA, I mean, I've known about BOA. If these people are with BOA, like they're a real deal. Like this. So first of all, I knew everything, see some things online that are like copycats and cheap stuff that they use or whatever and whatever.
Yep.
You know. So I'm like, tell me more. And then I'm like seeing all the things that it helps like support. I'm like, yeah, sometimes my lower back hurts, sometimes my quads, all the different things. Um, and I was like, maybe this is for me. Maybe this is what I need. Maybe if I'm going to do all this long stuff before I even test, like seeing if I'm going to break down or whatever, maybe I could tie this in with all this and see if this is going to be something that would work for me. Of course, I saw the pickleball.
Yep.
And I've seen people pickleball and I do, you ever see that comedian, Entitled Housewife?
No, I don't
Why am
know.
I drawing a blank on her real name? She does a stand up with pickleball and my girls and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, we've
I
seen her
think I
live a
know
couple of times.
exactly who you're talking about. She's hilarious.
Becky Robinson.
Yes, yes,
But she
yes. I
always
know
talking about
exactly who you're
pickleball, and she says
talking.
it's pickleball in the cert pickleball. I can't say it as good as her, and I'm not a stand-up comic, but whatever. You're good at what you're good at, right? But I was like, I don't do pickleball, and I don't. Well, I mean, I guess maybe it'd be fun to try sometimes. I was kind of okay at tennis, but I was like, is this really for me? Wanted to know more, and then
Yeah.
Kat and I started talking, and I just thought it was really cool because I'm like, I haven't seen any runners that I'm aware of wear them,
Yep.
and like, what's this all about? And then I guess I was even on a pre-order.
Yeah, you
So it
were
was that
right
new. I didn't realize it was that new. I'm like, where did I miss this? How come I haven't seen these? Where have I been all my life?
because you were way ahead. You were the earliest of the early
That's
adopters. You were
crazy.
ready to go, which I
Yeah.
love. So we obviously got in contact with you and we followed your journey through the Great World Race, which was so incredible. Like so fun to watch and be cheering you on from afar. And mind-blowing to me that by the time you ran that, you'd only been back running for just over or well, I guess you trained. So we're at like what, a year and a half, basically?
So, well, October. So you're right. So October. See, I didn't think these things through carefully. Sometimes I had a boss when I was in sales, and I told him, it's like obviously you could tell, and the type you are, a lot of people. If you want to learn something, you really want to learn it, then you want to kind of know everything.
Yeah.
Um, Or then, like when I was in sales and he'd try to tell me all the technical stuff with the HVAC equipment, all these things, I'm like, you know what, Bob? The less I know, the better.
Yeah.
Just trust. No, no, no. You need to believe me when I say if you start, just the less I know, the better. You know what I mean? I'm not the technician. Okay, so so sometimes the less I know, the better, even with my own schedule. But yeah, October of 2024. So basically, it was just a little over a year
Yep.
from the first marathon. Again, started training in January of 2024 slowly, but like so really, it only been yeah, less, like a year and a half, year and 3/4, all
Yeah.
things combined.
Incredible. Incredible. And how did it go for you? And the Great World Race, you're changing obviously scenery, you're pushing back to back to back to back, but the terrains are different, the temperatures are different. How did it go for you?
I thought that one thing I kind of slightly thought to myself before I left is, and again, this is me doing that. Anybody else's situation in the Great World Race, all the support team and the guy that heads up the Great World Race, Dave, they know I love him. I'm a big supporter, but um, I thought to myself, if I do this and my leg doesn't fall off now, then I guess I'm probably good to go. I mean, I think if I haven't proved to myself yet that I'm in the clear and I could, because again, imagine if I asked a medical person, they'd be like, okay, you did one, you did two,
Yeah.
that's cute. They
Yeah.
were spread apart, but this is just absolutely like ridiculous.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but anyways, back
Love
to the
that.
terrain. The terrains, yeah, we started in Antarctica. We were supposed to start in Cape Town, but they had to make a switch. And we started in Cape Town instead of Antarctica. It was like maybe, I don't know, I think 80s and like 30-mile-per-hour wind. So wind is real. I'd rather it rain. I'd rather be 60 and rainy than
Yep.
like wind. Wind is like to me like pushing a car. Wind is
Yeah.
not. I'd rather have hills than wind. I just don't
Yeah.
love the wind.
Yep.
Feels like you're running against a brick wall. So it was windy, but it was fun. It was beautiful. It was warm, sunny. Got super sunburn. And the next day's Antarctica, and it was unseasonably cold for Antarctica, if that could even be a possibility. So it was like minus 30. They still can't figure out what it was, the temperature. I do remember going down the stairs from the plane. I already had the glove liners and gloves on that was recommended for the trip. We got everything that was on the list.
Yep.
I look back, I see David, and he looked like his face was white, like, and he's done this before. He heads up the Great World Race, and he like sheet white. My hands were already like numb, and I'm like, oh my god. And it was like minus 30 or something like that, and like 38
Oh
wind chill
my.
or something.
Oh my
I
goodness.
get a little bit of a frostbite on my lip. You got to keep your whole face covered. They tell you, if like some of the faster runners, the guys, they were like moving the stuff off their face, and they
Yeah.
said if you don't put it on your face, we're gonna have to take you up the course. And the one guy did get frostbite like on the cheek.
Wow.
Um, I even used my goggles were so big, like 'cause I was having trouble breathing with all the stuff on my face, and it was
Yep.
like so cold and windy that I kind of used my goggles, like I could still see through the goggles, and then kind of scoot them down to cover my face, and then move the thing off my mouth a little bit so I could breathe because I'm more of a mouth breather.
Yep.
So whatever you got to do to like, it was just insane.
Wow. But you did it. You did it. How did you feel after the 7 days? Were you back almost to, like, that moment in North Dakota where you let yourself just be grateful? Like, "Wow." Or were you just totally exhausted? How did you feel?
Uh, Definitely exhausted, but almost then like in that weird hyperdrive, like not hyper, but
Yeah.
where it's
Yep.
almost like you feel like you can't sleep. You're going out to celebrate, trying to have fun, but you're not exactly that hungry. You're not exactly that, but
Yeah.
a little overwhelmed. Yeah, the that sunk in later. Like I swear, I think even afterwards, and even when I got home for a little bit, things were like sort of almost fuzzy a little bit. It was like from sleep deprivation to hydration and nutrition deprivation, not because of there was lack of food, but you could only take so much in. Like you could get as much food as you wanted on the plane and stuff like that. But all of a sudden you're more tired than hungry and it's hard to eat. You know what I mean? So it's like all those things combined. And then, oh, by the way, you're running at the start line of a marathon again. And
Yep.
it happens fast and furious. So it was like a different, it was like a delayed celebration, but certainly a celebration at the finish line. Like they interviewed us. The one guy interviewing us, we were just listening to it this morning. Sometimes I have a hard time hearing myself talk and on the video, but he's like, I kind of realized when we got into the Great World Race that it wasn't going to be like me watching my watch going, I got to stay on pace. I got to stay on pace. So I try to make it like a lot of fun too,
Yeah.
because when I'm at the marathons, normally I'm not socializing, I'm not playing around, I'm focused on my goal or
Yes.
goals.
Uh-huh.
So the main thing was to get them done. I did have some goal times in mind if I could get them done, but more so I wanted the camaraderie. I wanted to have fun. So I kind of like created marathon karaoke. So a lot of the races we would do loops, and then some of the faster people, they'd be going this way, I'd be going this way. So we'd high five, and then sometimes we'd cross over for a second to high five, and I'd be singing a song on my headphone, and then they'd start singing. And so the guy interviewing at the last one in Florida, he's like, "You were kind of the rock star." He had an accent, he's like, we're kind of a rock star, and I'm like, what's a rock star? I'm like, okay, yeah,
I love it.
family would be laughing now if they heard me like, yeah, okay, I wasn't even good singing in the shower, so I wouldn't go as far as saying a rock star, but try to make it fun like that.
That's amazing. I love that. And you did it. You did it. So now let's talk about we're entering 2026. You're doing Boston. You've just come off the Great World Race. You're a rock star, literally. And did it kind of seem like, Boston, no big deal? Like, I've got this. I am excited to do it, but like I pretty much have just crushed the most complex running feat out there. So this is going to be like just for fun? Or how did it feel heading into Boston?
Well, here's the funny thing again. Upon qualifying for Boston, it was going to be, and I said to some people, I'm just going to run it for fun. I mean, committed and trained, but not this precious goal time. Just run it for fun,
Yep.
take in all the sights, because every time I've gone before, it's always been to the grind. But even without the Great World Race, as time goes, that was May. It wasn't until the next April. As time went on, it's like it becomes less for fun and more for a goal.
Yeah.
Um, because I know me, and I'm not going to go to Boston and run it for fun. Because
Yeah.
if anybody believed me saying that, they got to know I was fibbing. Um, but I believe myself for a minute. But then coming off the Great Wall Race, it's an interesting question. All joking aside, it's like you get a lot of people get like some sort of marathon blues after the marathon. And the first thing I watch people's comments online, and the first thing that people will say that are like in it, they'll say, let yourself feel it, even if you're down a little bit, even if you're a little bit depressed or blah. And then once you get past that, sign up for another race. Sign up for if it's a half marathon or something, and then start working on that because it's kind of like what next? Oh, I qualified for Boston. I did Boston. I almost feel like this weird sense of like maybe down or depressed a little bit or something.
Yeah.
I never felt that after the Great World Race, but it was a little bit like what you're saying, not depressed or down, but as a little bit of time went on and I had to start training for Boston, I'm like, did I take away from like in May, it was all like Boston again, and it was going to be my celebration run. And then all of a sudden, I managed to squeeze in the Great World Race. And then it's kind of like, is Boston almost nothing? Like, what
Yeah.
trumps? That's
Yep.
why I said to the couple of the 20 something year olds that were on the Great World Race, I'm like, it's a good thing. I keep saying this, but I don't believe myself, but it's a good thing I'm older because I'm older. So now I did the Great World Race and I can maybe look for the next goal. But I go, you got joking around with them. I'm like, you guys are in your 20s. What are you going to do next?
Yep.
Great World I don't know what I mean, they're their 20s. Like I couldn't fathom doing this in my 20s, the Great World Race.
Yep.
I keep, but they'll figure something out, I'm sure. But anyways, it kind of almost, I don't want to say Boston became meaningless or less, whatever, but at a short moment in that little dull between really getting back to training and kind of a blah winter and a rough winter, it was kind of like I realized I was maybe losing my why a little bit, as they say, remember your why. And it was kind of like maybe Boston wasn't becoming as important for a second. But then finally I was like, okay,
Yeah.
quit
Spots.
lying to yourself,
Yeah.
you know. So I got on training, hit the treadmill. I mean, 20-mile runs on the treadmill because I was not going to go out in the 0 degrees weather,
Yeah.
tempo runs, all that thing. And then I'm like, trying to get in sync with what my ABC goals were. And so,
Yeah. Which you killed it. You did
yeah.
great. We loved following you along for Boston.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you could never, I mean, I figure if everybody could do what they want and whatever it means to them, but me, how I am, it's like, I just feel like I did take a moment here and there to look left, right. And luckily my earpod was dead before I could even really start for some reason, even though it was charged. It was like defective that day,
Yeah.
maybe meant to be because it allowed me to take in a little bit more than getting lost in the music because music does kind of motivate me.
Yep.
Um, so I did stick to my promise a little bit and soak in a few sites here and there more than I ever did before, but I still, if I feel like I owe it. That's just me.
Yeah.
If Boston's allowing me to run it, I'm gonna respect it. And but if somebody else is doing it for fun and they want to wear a costume and take 6 hours or whatever they want to do, I'm happy for them. But like I owe it to me to and
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
with my time, and it's my fastest one since coming back from the injury, 6 minute PR, all the things, harder course. I still came in like 230 something in my age group, which again is not, you know, and in fact, the first woman in my age group ran faster, 4 minutes faster than the woman in the age group I'm 60 to 64 age group. The woman in my age group ran 4 minutes faster, 3 hours than the woman 55 to 59.
Wow.
Amazing. I mean, and still, I came
It's
in like the top 25, like the low end of the top 25%. So again, not too shabby, but like, again, I'm so happy with my time. I'm not comparing to anybody anymore and doing that. So just because there was a gal at a book signing the other night that is a few years younger than me, but close and ran a 3:21, I'm thinking, good for you. I'm proud of my time. That's great. That's nice. But I'm proud of my time.
yeah.
And, but still, I came in 230 something out of women, 60 to 64. And I think I ran a heck of a time.
I mean, well, first of all, your journey and everyone else on that course's journey have been incredibly different. The
Right.
road to that moment, incredibly different. And this goes back to, what is a win for the individual, right? For me, looking at you, I'm just in awe, right? Like your win, your finish, your road back to Boston in the best time since the accident. I mean, mind blown, right? Like that is a win. But it's also incredible the way you look at it and you say, well, my age category is killing, right? Like we are
Good.
only getting stronger theoretically.
It's great.
So
And I
cool.
love, see, some people don't because then they get, if some people, not everybody, but if they hear this, especially with a comeback, all of a sudden they don't have much to say to you anymore. And it's like, wait, when did I last remember that I was competing with you?
Yeah.
And God forbid, even brag a little bit, or I don't even say brag, but like go like this. Oh my God. And it's like, wait, I'm not taking anything away from you, but like I am like accident, no accident. Like you go, girl, you beat me, girl. Like I got 230 something women that only either makes me want to work harder. Maybe I'll catch them, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll catch them when we're 80. I don't know. You know, maybe I'll trip them or something. No, just kidding.
I just
But
love it.
you know what I mean? It's like I mean, I think the competition is good, and it's like I would love to meet some of them, the first three people, or first five people, or first 10, and be like, tell me what you're eating.
Yes.
Tell
Yeah.
me what you're not eating. I don't know.
Well, and I think it goes into it is like the premise, like to bring it back to how we function, right? The premise of Tighties is we know doing what you love, being able to compete or access your body the way your mind feels is crucial for life. It's crucial for the happiness. It's crucial for feeling fulfilled. It's just so important to be able to actually live the way you want to live. And that is why we created our products, right? We want people to have access to their body in a way they never had before so they can keep doing the things they love. And I'd be curious too, you, all the other competitors in your age group, the age groups around, everybody is getting these times and doing this impressive stuff because not just their mindset these days anymore or the way that they go about it, but the tools in their belt and what they're using to help sustain their training regimens. I mean, even when you were talking earlier about, really training and learning to work with like your breath work and how that really changed things. That's really what we aspire to be, right? Like a tool in someone's belt to help them on their long training days, to help mile 20 feel a little more like mile 1 and not like mile 40, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a dream come true. And with the tools, like you said, as a side note, I mean, in London, two men and almost three, but two men broke 2 hours. And can you imagine being basically breaking 2 hours and not winning the race, but
Yeah.
with the shoes and the tools and all the things that they use,
Yeah.
nutrition, and all that. But with Tighties, I could tell you that I'm in this one chat group and we are talking afterwards about how you feeling. And some people said their quads were killing them. They grinded out a time they were happy with, but their quads were killing them. They don't know how they hung on. One of them said they used a particular brand of compression leggings. No, no,
Strapping system.
no strappings or anything, but
Yep.
kind of thing that's supposed to be good for that. In the same mouthful, they're saying their quads are killing them, hamstring, and they don't know how they made it through. And even 2 days later, we're chatting, and their quads are killing them. I'm sitting, and they said the brand, and then I mentioned Tighties, soft mention because I want to like
Yeah. I
us
love it.
talk and see the best ways to do it. And I'm kind of like still letting it sink in, and I kind of wanted to pique their curiosity. And no, just a few people in the chat group, 5 or 6 people. Nobody said, but same mouthful. I'm saying I'm feeling great, and when I use This person is saying what they use and they're proud what they use, except they feel terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get maybe different cultures, or I don't know. But anyways, um, I could tell you, and this is probably the moment you guys are all been waiting for, but I was a believer before even trying out in the training runs when you and I would talk. But you know it, obviously your product better than me, and I'm just using it, trying different things. And then a person can't help but think, like myself, you, even when you're building this design, anybody, well, I feel this way. Yeah, I feel good. Now I have to say, did I feel good today because I was feeling good? Did I feel good because I'm wearing tighties? Did I feel good because I took the right gel or wore the right shoes? All these things. Or what if I just wore shorts and I didn't really take any gels? Was I just feeling good today? You know how human nature we do that. And like,
Yeah.
I really want to believe, like, again, just simple. If I go out and I say I want to run 3 miles and set pace and I do it, I know I did it. Mentally, I feel good. Whatever otherwise I did or didn't do. But when you're doing something that like you're not used to using and you haven't used before, in that same run, for example, you can't say, well, I wonder what I felt like if I wasn't using it, like these said shoes or tighties or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm using it. I'm telling you, training, going, I'm using it. I feel good. Certainly, definitely not hurting. I'm believing it's helping and I'm feeling good. But like you, and a little bit more sort of science, I guess I do have a scientific mind, kind of mathematical mind. How do I prove to myself these are really working and not just, okay, they're possibly helping a little bit, certainly not hurting, but could I be wearing shorts?
Yeah.
Well, this will be the moment you guys are all waiting for. I'm saying this in full, not like, oh, you know, and some people too, when they go to races, they say, oh, I didn't really train much. And then all of a sudden they finish in a great time. They
Yeah.
really trained, but they told you they didn't train much. And the reason why they told you they didn't train much is because in case they do a bad time, then they could say it's because they didn't really train.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a truth teller with this. And I could tell you I trained on no hills. The only hills I trained on, there's a street called Hillside out here. And anybody from a hilly area, including Boston, if they came here, they would be like, okay, I've got 20/20 vision. What hill are you talking about? Because that looks flat to me. Okay. And then on our river walk here where I run, there's a little, and I feel like, okay, now's my hill. That's it around here. And I could have made my way to some other areas farther out in the car, but I didn't. On the treadmill, which I did the majority of my running, I do 0% incline.
Yep.
I don't like doing incline. One, I worry that I could maybe get injured. And two, I just feel like, wait a minute, now that's enough. I'm not a professional. I'm not getting paid. That is too much work to put on 4%. I'm doing my 20-mile run on a treadmill. I get some credit for that. I'm doing a tempo run. I'm doing, you know, 10, 800-mile, 800 quarter-mile repeats or whatever, half-mile repeats. I don't need to put on an incline. So anyways, I wear the tighties in the marathon. I didn't see anybody around me wearing them. I'm wearing them. I didn't see that girl wearing them. I trained on 0 hills, and I can't emphasize it enough. Anybody that says Boston is not a hard course is kidding themselves. It is a hilly course, and even they love to say the first 6 miles is net down. It might be net down, but by going down, you have to go up. We go up, we go down, we go up. I'm like, where is this all downhill in the first 6 miles? I'm already like hilly by the end of mile 6. And I'm like, but I'm feeling good, right? Never did my quads or hamstrings or lower back hurt me in the marathon. The only fatigue at mile 23 when I started losing a teeny ground on sub 4, which was still okay with me mentally, was my game day decision on what I wasn't going to do with nutrition. So and the hill, I mean, and I'm human and I was getting a little not wall, not I want to quit, not I'm done, slight fatigue.
Yep.
That was like, okay, this will be good when I'm done and I can rest a little bit.
Yeah.
No aches, no pains. And the other thing too, where I could say, here you guys, and this is like, I'm 1,000,000% believer. I'm like getting a shower and getting ready to go to dinner. And I'm like walking and people are like, obviously they could see the jacket, they could see the metal. And I'm looking at other people and I'm like, wait, why am I walking normal?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm not holding on to like, and having to push myself up to get off. When I first did my second marathon and I like walked around for a week, not being able to sit on the toilet unless I held on to something or get up. I
Yep.
kind of had to walk backwards down the stairs. I kind of had to shuffle when I was walking around. I thought I was proud because this was like war wounds because like I earned this and this is what you're supposed to be doing. This
Yeah.
is not what you're supposed to be doing. So uh And then I went to an event a couple nights later, and people running it that ran it, they're like, "Oh my god, my quads are still killing me." And I'm like in the chair like this, up and down, up and down. I'm like, "Mine aren't," and they never did. And these are people that hill train,
Yeah.
still hill train.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, and I've I love to hear it, and I'm honestly not surprised. The impact of how you work the body matters in that moment of race. It matters in back-to-back training, and it matters after, right? And a lot of people are just willing, like you just said, to make the sacrifice. Like, I'm going to wear this soreness as a badge of honor because I just earned this medal and I am amazing. But what if you didn't have to, right? Like, what if you could get your feats, crush your times, reach your goals, but you were working with your body, right? And that's just obviously music to my ears, but it's even more so with you. As you know, we're huge fans of you. And to hear that you have your own fight back story, and just even outside of the fight back, just these incredible things that you're doing, Sheri, it blows my mind all the time. I love hearing you walk through it and just like, well, then I was here and then I just did this. Oh, and then I just threw in the Great World Race and here I'm going to Boston, like anyone that we can join that process and join that journey and just be a part of it and um honestly just thrive in your energy, like, great. I'm happy we could be of any help. It's just so cool for us here.
Well, you guys flatter me, and I mean, I'm glad I found you guys too. And not obviously wearing and I trusted it because I'm like thinking this is a long time for me to wear it, a 2 hour run, even a 3 hour run, but 4 hours plus, and
Yeah.
trusting it.
Yep.
And I did, and I trusted you, and I trusted it. I'm like, again, I can't. There is no like one again, like I said, it's just proof. I mean, there's no other explanation for why I didn't do anything. And in fact, I didn't do as good as I should with the nutrition. That's still like a huge weakness during the run. I should even be because you do muscle damage,
Yeah.
So how I overrode that, there is only one explanation. I mean, hands down, without a doubt. I mean, there's no other explanation. Nobody could say otherwise.
I love it.
That's my pure proven science, and I'm committed to that. So, but and again, it amazes me when somebody is proud of what they did and what they wore and how they're feeling, and a smart person, but then say like, and okay with it, and not say, well, wait, maybe I should change this. There is
Yeah.
something else that could be offered to me. But back to you saying me, because I guess I sometimes a little hard to take a compliment to, but I appreciate you guys. And again, I'm always happy to I
Yeah.
wear you proud and
We
always there
love
to
it. We'll
toot
we'll
your guys'
keep
horn,
helping you in any way we can and following along. And I think honestly, one of the underlying themes in everything that you've talked about today, and it didn't matter if it was your early running, your elliptigo, your Peloton, back to running, you are amazing at the community part of it, right? It's all about the community that you build in these activities that you do. And I think that's what's so special. It's what I'm sure you've gone back to with running is it's just, you know, all of it, right? The Peloton, all of it. It's just I loved the community. That's what I'm hearing. I love the community of it. I love the people, and that's true. You surround yourself with the people who are like-minded, who are chasing things, who push you, who are on these chat groups saying what they're doing, you're learning, you're evolving, and we're very, very like-minded over here. It's
It's
really
that
cool.
it is a good point, and it's true. I mean, a couple of gals, well, one of the gals from the Great World Race, we met up for dinner the night before the marathon. Like it's like we've known each other forever. One of the other gals lives in Boston, so she had a get together there, and it's like if I didn't go on that and didn't never would have known these people, in my life. And it's
Yeah.
like, and at any stage, again, you could start meeting people, communities, different things, and it's like you have a whole new network.
Yeah. Super cool.
It is very cool.
I
I do
love
love
it.
that. Yeah.
I love it. We can't wait to fully tell your story, but thank you so much for taking the time.